A Don't Starve Together Nuzlocke. You're probably wondering how this makes sense. Well, one day I sat down consuming roughly, Tic Tacs and thought of an idea. That idea involving my hobby of playing Don't Starve Together. A game that, yes, doesn't have guns, hold your shock, but is still probably my most played and favorite game, second and thirded, by only Darkwood and Darkest Dungeon. Why do all of my favorite games start with the letter D? How does a Nuzlocke work in Don't Starve Together? Well, the base idea of Nuzlocke is still there. If a character dies, they're dead forever. No revives, no second chances, nothing. They're dead, and no matter how much you cry, they're not coming back. But in Don't Starve Together, unlike Pokemon, you can hypothetically live forever. There is nothing stopping you from just playing good and not dying, and even if you do die, there are a lot of ways to revive yourself, so typically in Nuzlockes, the rules are as simple as there is one of each Pokemon, characters in this case, and if they die, they're gone. It's as easy as that. But to make this an actual challenge for Don't Starve Together's formula, I have devised a rule set so sickening I think I threw up twice just thinking about it. What is this rule set? Well, allow me to go over it. Rule 1. You must play on Wilderness, a mode that doesn't allow revival through typical means and instead sends you back to the character select screen, still on the same map, but in a random spawn and without your map knowledge from last life. Rule 2. The characters cannot be chosen by the player, instead they must be randomized, and in the off chance you get the same character after they're already dead, there are plenty of different things to unalive you in an instant. Rule 3. Rule 2 is no longer in effect when the player only has 5 or less characters remaining. This combats the whole randomized character into immediately toaster bath just to get the same character and have to toaster bath again. Rule 4, the most obvious rule, when a character dies, they're dead for good. Rule 5 is the part of this challenge that makes it a challenge in the first place. Normally, like I mentioned 20 seconds ago, a character can hypothetically live forever, so I've decided, hey, life sucks, doesn't it? And so if a character lives for 20 days, they have a heart attack caused by the quickest thing ready to maul on their throat. There are currently 18 characters in Don't Starve Together, altogether given at max 360 days to complete the objective that I will reveal in a bit. This probably sounds too easy to any DST professional, but allow me to remind you, this is Wilderness, and you don't get control over what characters you get at certain points, meaning you could get Wolfgang first and attempt to speedrun all bosses in the first 20 days. But then thanks to Wilderness, you randomize and get Wes, out in the middle of nowhere, at the start of winter, meaning you either just lost 20 days out of the total number of days you had by just killing yourself, or spent 5 days finding your base just to then get nothing productive done and again waste 20 days. So the amount of shitty characters combined with the whole Wilderness whiplash of forgetting your map turns the 360-day limit to more like a 120-day limit combined with still major whiplash of Wilderness. Now then, I believe I sold my point on the whole difficulty of this challenge, so what's the objective? Well, there's an objective, then there's some sort of high score thing that I made up. The main objective is to kill Celestial Champion, debatably the final boss of the game. Though there is an argument of Fuel Weaver being the final boss, I just want a non-convoluted objective, so we're excluding him for now. As for the high score thing, I'm giving myself 1 point for each raid boss killed during the run. It doesn't matter if I've killed 5 different raid bosses or 5 dragonflies. As long as it's considered a giant, then that's a point for me. But this is more of a aftermath thing to the Celestial Champion, so top priority is Celestial Champion, with the high score being more of a side thing. With all of that out of the way, it's time to play some Don't Starve Together Daltona Lock. It doesn't roll off the tongue, and that is intentional to piss you off. Spawning in, we got Wanda, one of, if not the best characters in the game, which on one hand is good, on the other, bad. Wanda is simultaneously the best and worst early game character in my opinion. She's broken late game, don't get me wrong, but again, I only have 20 days to work with her, so I had to think quickly about how to drip every drop of blood still left in her young old bones to get maximum profit. Early game, there are 2 options I thought about. The first and most obvious choice, Ruins Rush. Craft a shadow manipulator, then henceforth the alarming clock, so that I can whip some old chess piece machinery as an old grandma, to then simultaneously go insane to fight the shadows and whispers in my mind that are real but also not real, to collect their shadow blood, to then craft a yellow pendant fueled by nightmares to make me go fast, then whip an ancient extinct animal down in the darkest depths of an ancient civilization with a clock attached to a chain as a time-traveling grandma. Sometimes I sit down and I think, what this game wants from me. Because it wants more than my soul, I know that much. Or we could rush Shadow Manipulator into making some Dark Swords and the Backtrack Watch with maybe another Ageless Clock, then fight Dragonfly to prevent winter from being too much of a problem. There are upsides and downsides to each option, but while the Ruins Rush was tempting, I decided to go for the Dragonfly kill, because A, it's like 12 times less panic-inducing and time-restricted, while B, going for Dragonfly allowed me to get an infinite source of heat and collect resources for future characters, giving me a much more smooth transition into winter. Sure, I don't get the Magiluminescence, or the Starcaller's staff, or the Deconstruction staff, or even any of the Thulecite gear, but not doing the Ruins Rush allowed me to go to the ruins during the summer, which is, in my opinion, a much better idea, because I really hate the summer. Like, it is the worst season in the game by far. We spend the first 6 days mapping out, grave robbing, collecting Styx grass and the skin of humanoid pigs, eventually finding the oasis. I had very mixed feelings about basing here. I had to deal with a bunch of rabid dogs with rabies and oversized killer bees from Jumanji, wasting a couple of days to deal with them, but then there were the upsides of nearby rocks, the swamp, plenty of trees, and not too far away Pig Cane, Dragonfly, and Bee Queen. So annoying for the first couple of days, but very profitable in the long run. Most of the following days were just spent collecting the basics like gold, sticks, and grass, while also getting the resources ready for the Shadow Manipulator and some Dark Swords. Sooner or later, getting to the point of fighting the Big D. Dragonfly. We get the Prestidigitator on day 9 alongside the Shadow Manipulator. A few days later, thanks to my close proximity to the place League of Legends players reside, alongside my inability to stop thinking about Rule 34, I make 3 Dark Swords and 2 Shadow Armors. Normally, I don't recommend using both of these at once during a boss, due to just how high the sanity drain is, but Wanda has a very special gimmick. That gimmick being if Wanda is at the age of wanting to throw herself into a pack of wild wolves, ages 69 to 79, then Wanda deals double damage with shadow weaponry and has no sanity penalty when using shadow tools. This is one of the 50 things that makes Wanda broken. By the way, to those wondering how I didn't have a problem with food for the past while, it was the spooky season when I recorded this, making 13 pumpkins spawn in the place where Pig Cane was, which definitely helped and is a lot more broken than you'd think. On day 12, I had everything ready to fight the Dragonfly. Some walls, 3 Dark Swords, a Pan Flute, 2 Shadow Armors, 2 Ageless Clocks, a Backtrack Watch, and enough pigskin to make the Pig Cane sentence me to exile if I ever stepped foot in his used-to-be town ever again. I made it to the Dragonfly and I had this setup. To anybody who is new to the game or just wants to cheese the fuck out of Dragonfly, I highly recommend this setup. If you're not Wanda, you'll need a lot of armor and heal net items, but as Wanda, you can get away with a lot of greed, due to one little mechanic I'll show you during the fight. Before the fight begins, if you are Wanda, I highly recommend having a fairly hot bath of 5,000 degrees Celsius. 0 out of 10 skincare experts recommend this, but 1 out of 10 Wanda mains, me, highly recommend this. Because if you've never felt the wrath of not accepting the 5 extra plates of food your grandmother set up for you, you're about to see it. To those who haven't played this game before, you may wonder, what the fuck was that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure shit? And I'll happily tell you, Wanda is a clockmaker that just so happens to also be able to fracture space and time to avoid getting hit by a giant bug. A very simple thing to do, and something that makes this boss fight a breeze. And by breeze, I meant it, cause holy shit, look at these dodges, and no, I'm not egotistical, shut the fuck up. It's literally just this for like the next 12 minutes, by the way. With Dragonfly killed, that is 1 point on the board and infinite heat achieved. Before Wanda has a heart attack, I wanted to check one more thing, which was the meteor crash site thingy. Here I'm mainly looking for a fat moon rock, which normally is just used for beating the game. However, there is one thing it can be used for that no one talks about. That being, it shows the location of it on the map. Normally this is obsolete, however in this Nuzlocke it would be very beneficial for finding the base as a new character. Sadly, this is luck-based, and we didn't get a first try, but we did get a fridge out of the exploration, which was nice and definitely helped. I decided Wanda to have a heart attack earlier, so that the upcoming character wouldn't have too much of a hard time finding the base before winter began. Now, in terms of characters I wanted to play as for the winter, I wanted someone not shitty like Wes, because we still had some bosses to do, but not one of the 3 powerhouse characters. Wanda was one of those 3 characters, with the other 2 being Wolfgang and Wigfrid, so as long as I don't get either of those 2 or Wes, I'd be happy with my survivor for winter. God mother. Getting Wolfgang kinda fucking sucked, but at the same time, I still have Wigfrid to fight Celestial Champion, hopefully, and the bosses I wanted to get out of the way were Deerclops, Eye of Terror, and Kloss, so at least Wolfgang wasn't going to be wasted in terms of use, but I would have much rather have used him for Bee Queen, one of the only actually essential bosses for this run beside Crabcane and, of course, Celestial Champion. Also, a little side note, I forgot to disassemble the watches from Wanda, so that's a lot of gold and red gems and marble wasted. The rest of the days leading up to winter were pretty unremarkable, just a bunch of grass and twig collecting, until the nights before winter where I killed the Eye of Terror. It's a pretty piss-easy boss as Wolfgang, so I don't really need to go over it. By the way, as a side note, if you don't have the resources to get some pierogies, a great healing dish, you can just kill some local League of Legends players, cook their corpse, and then you get some fish sticks. A pretty underrated dish in my opinion that heals the same amount as pierogies. When winter began, I went to hunt some walruses, whatever. I went to hunt some walruses to knock their teeth into the pavement so that I can get a walking cane, and it didn't take long. The following days were spent prepping for Kloss by hunting some deer and killing some trees, and no, I do not give myself points for killing trees. Sure, they're considered giants, but they're easy to kill and spawn, so I decided no. I planted some trees and berry bushes for future use, and with a comfortable amount of dark swords, it was time to kill Kloss, one of the few giants that doesn't require a shit ton of prep. Just a walking cane, some swords, 1 to 3 football helms, a bit of healing, and a campfire, then you should be good to go. As long as Kloss didn't destroy the campfire, I was pretty confident in winning this. Oh, for fuck's sake. While the Kloss fight wasn't as smooth as I was hoping, I still ended it with a pretty decent health and it didn't break the eye mask. fucking god! Close one, am I right? We went back to base to open our presents and oh my god. There's a blueprint. If that's the bundle and if that's the bundle and wrap, oh my god. If that's the bundle and wrap oh my god, why is that so difficult to say? If that's the bundle and wrap blueprint, we wouldn't have to fight Bee Queen. Holy shit, like, this could easily win the run. Fuck. At least we got an additional mandrake and upgrade to our backpack out of it, so it wasn't the worst, but still very disappointing. The next boss was Deerclops, and like, come on, it's one of the easiest bosses in the game. You don't even have to think about kiting it. You just hit it twice, and then you move back, move forward, hit it twice, move. It's just easy. After the Deerclops kill, we got Glommer, a friend whose shit is very nice to eat. Alongside it being the end of winter, it is also the end of the video and near the end of Wolfgane's life. But before the video ends, I just want to say thank you all for this, and if you want to vote on what video I do next, I set up a community poll so that you can vote on what you want next. And for those who stuck around to the end of this video, if you want to be a character in the maybe soon Darkest Dungeon gun only, comment on the video. I may want to make you a main character in that game. Maybe.